All right, everybody knows Shakespeare, right? The bard. But what if I told you he had a secret teacher? The guy who basically wrote the playbook he used. Well, today we're going to pull back the curtain on that very story. Yeah, we tend to think of Shakespeare as this lone genius, right? A talent that just appeared out of nowhere. But what if that's not the whole story? What if he had a secret weapon? A rival, even, who was already setting the stage, who was defining the very art form that Shakespeare would go on to master. Let's dig in and find out who this person was.
Okay, so who was this mystery man, this guide for, the greatest writer in the English language? Because look, even a genius like Shakespeare had to learn the ropes from someone. And believe me, his teacher changed the course of literature forever.
So, to really understand Shakespeare's rise, you've got to picture the world he was walking into. The English stage back then, well, it was still kind of finding its feet, trying to figure out what it wanted to be. And then, right at that perfect moment, this revolutionary figure steps onto the scene and just gives it a voice. And that revolutionary's name was Christopher Marlowe. Get this, he was born the same year as Shakespeare. But Marlowe, man, he was the rock star playwright of his day. We're talking brilliant, controversial, and his career, though tragically short, was like a supernova that just completely lit up the Elizabethan stage. So what was it about Marlowe that made him such a game changer? Well, he basically gave English drama two massive upgrades. And these two things, they built the foundation for pretty much everything that came after them, especially the works of Shakespeare. And honestly, the impact was like night and day. Before Marlowe came along, English drama could be, well, pretty clumsy, a bit uninspired. But Marlowe, he turned it into what critics called a living organism, something brilliant, polished, and just powerful. He pretty much single-handedly redefined what a play could even be.
So how did he do it? What was his secret? Well, his first big weapon was something we now call his mighty line. Marlowe took a poetic form that was already out there and just supercharged it. He turned it into the very engine of English tragedy. And that form was blank verse. Now, to be clear, he didn't invent it. But oh man, did he perfect it. He took that pulsing, 5-beat, heartbeat-like rhythm and turned it into this incredibly flexible, powerful tool. It was perfect for expressing all the huge, complex emotions his characters were feeling. It basically became the new gold standard for the stage.
Okay, but Marlowe's second big idea? That was an even bigger game changer. See, he didn't just change how characters spoke. He completely changed who these characters could be. He basically invented a whole new kind of tragic hero. Think about it. Before Marlowe, tragedies were almost always about kings and princes falling from grace. But Marlowe's heroes? Totally different. They often came from humble beginnings. What defined them wasn't their royal blood, it was this immense, unstoppable passion, this world-altering ambition. And the perfect case study for this is the hero of his first smash hit, Tamburlaine the Great. This guy starts out as a simple shepherd, but he's driven by an ambition so huge, he literally wants to conquer the entire world. What's his driving force? One word: pure megalomania. And megalomania is absolutely the perfect word for it. It's a psychological condition, right? It's characterized by these delusional fantasies of power, wealth, or omnipotence. And that's Tamburlaine to a T. He didn't just want to be a king, he genuinely believed he could bend reality itself to his will. And just listen to this quote from the play. It captures his mindset perfectly. He says, "I hold the fates bound fast in iron chains, and with my hand turn fortune's wheel about." I mean, wow. He's not just challenging fate, he's saying he controls it. A hero like this, fueled by this kind of internal psychological fire, it was a total revolution for the English stage. Okay, so let's recap. Marlowe creates the powerful new language and the ambitious new hero. The stage is now perfectly set for his contemporary, William Shakespeare, to walk in and take these incredible innovations to a whole new level.
And when you look at the plays side by side, the influence is it's undeniable. Marlowe's history play, Edward II, it's a clear blueprint for Shakespeare's Richard II and Richard III. The character of Barabbas in The Jew of Malta, well, he's a direct forerunner to Shylock in The Merchant of Venice. And the whole deal with the devil thing and Dr. Faustus, you see that echoed so powerfully in Macbeth. It's like Marlowe drew the map and Shakespeare followed it to become a legend.
But, and this is so important, Shakespeare wasn't just a copycat. Not at all. He was a different kind of genius. What he did was take Marlowe's raw, explosive energy and he gave it structure. He refined it, he systemized it, and he built the powerful, perfectly polished tragedies that we all know and love today. And you can actually see that formula right here. Shakespeare often takes that Marlovian ambitious hero, but he gives them a high estate to fall from, and a very specific tragic flaw that causes their downfall. He adds in that sudden reversal of fortune, and he really zooms in on the inner conflict raging inside the hero's soul. He basically took Marlowe's raw materials and built a masterpiece. So, when you put it all together, what's Marlowe's ultimate legacy? Well, for Shakespeare, he was way more than just an influence. All the experts seem to agree. He was a rival, a teacher, and a guide, all rolled into one. Just listen to the critic J.A. Symonds. He puts it so bluntly. He says, "We literally can't even imagine what Shakespeare would have been without Marlowe." He basically argues that Shakespeare's whole career was a mission to build on and perfect the art form that Marlowe had already created.
And the famous scholar Stephen Greenblatt? He's right there with him. He imagines a young Shakespeare seeing Tamburlaine performed live, and he says it must have had a life-transforming impact. Can you picture that? It was probably like a wake-up call, a total gut punch that showed him what theater could really, truly be.
And finally, the poet and critic Algernon Swinburne just lays it out crystal clear. He calls Marlowe the father of English tragedy and the creator of English blank verse. And because of that, he says, Marlowe was also the teacher and the guide of Shakespeare. It really doesn't get much clearer than that.
So here's the bottom line. Marlowe set the bar. He was the rival genius that a young Shakespeare had to measure himself against, someone he had to compete with and, in the end, surpass. And it was right there, in that creative competition, that Shakespeare was forged into the legend we know today.
And all of this leaves us with a pretty big question, doesn't it? What does this story really tell us about creativity itself? Is any artist ever truly 100% original, or is genius always about finding the right giants to stand on so you can see just a little bit further?